If you see the architecture of man, the things God put together when he was creating man, you will know that God had a plan. In fact, in Psalm 139 verse 14, the Bible said you were fearfully and wonderfully made. Why would God invest so much in making you wonderfully and fearfully if he doesn't want to entrust something to you? And so when I read my Bible, I discovered that when the Father embarked on the project of creating man, there were 5 things he put into man to make a man a fortress that could advance his kingdom. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, the Bible said, God said, let us make man. I don't know how he made angels, because I don't know the complete jurisdiction of the assignment of angels, but I know the assignment God gave man. He wants man to represent him on earth. And so when God created man in Genesis 1:26, he said, let us make man in our image. Now, until now, nobody knew the image of God, because God is formless. The Bible said he dwells in light that is unapproachable. So when God wanted to articulate his image, it's like the job of an artist. When God wanted to put his dimensions together to give you an idea what it looked like, the project he put together to reveal to you his image, in case you don't know who he is when he began to create man. So when the angels saw man, that was the first time they saw the real image of God. You know, if you see God in heaven in his glory, you can't articulate who he is. When Gabriel saw him, he said from his face, his waist upward was like the sun in his strength. So you can't see him. In fact, the Bible says he's a light that is unapproachable. So the angels, every time God manifests on his throne, they fall on their faces and worship, because the glory, the effulgence was too enormous that you couldn't behold him. Even if you try to behold him, you can't comprehend his essence. Go read your Bible. Everywhere they saw God in the encounters of the Spirit, they could not articulate what he looked like, because all you will see is light spreading out in his strength and power. Ezekiel saw him and fell like a dead man. John saw him and fell like a dead man. So nobody could articulate God's image until he created man. There was no way you could expressly say and define what God looked like. So when God wanted to express his image, he said, let us create a being called man. And so the Bible said, God said in Genesis 1:26, let us make man in our image. And he didn't stop there. He said, let us make man after our likeness. The word likeness is the word character. Is the ability to express God's dimensions. So when we are manifesting God, we are not attempting to mimic God. Our essence too is like that. So when you are walking in power, that is your essence. Power was built into your system. The same way God speaks and power flows. When you speak, power should flow, because you were made in his likeness. The ingredients, the structural build-up of God is what he wired into you. When you live holy, it should be your nature, because God is holy. So you can't manifest God's character if you don't have God's character. So what God did was that he didn't just give us his image, he gave us the build-up of his being, so that anywhere we come, when you see us, you should actually mistake us for God. So worship